Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And I'd like to start the program off this morning with a little note to all the husbands out in the listening audience. Attention, please. When your wife asks, "What's on TV?" dust is not the right answer. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by Patriot. Come on, call in. Pledge of Allegiance time. Good morning. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch, on another soggy morning, Wednesday, May 22nd. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations helping you. And, by the way, you need tires before you leave for Memorial Day weekend? Well, stop in and see them today. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That a boy, Wheels. Right now, let's head to the weather real quick and find out when the Ark's going to leave. K&R Rental at 256 South 600 west of Hayburn brings us the weather. They're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They're the ones that have got an Ark over there, and they're loading the animals 2x2. Hey, don't forget they've got the best of tools and equipment for you and any project that you need to complete. And they've got all your garden and lawn equipment, everything at K&R Rental. They get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. to serve you at K&R Rental. Number to call, 678-3122. And right now, here's the weather.
Expecting rain showers off and on throughout the day, and highs are going to be in the mid-50s. Rain showers for the rest of the week as well. Yes, mostly cloudy skies for today. Expecting a high of 56. Rain showers off and on as we make our way through it. Tonight, more chance of rain showers, low of 41. Tomorrow, 40% chance of rain showers, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 57. Slight chance of some thunderstorms for tomorrow night with a low of 41. As we make our way towards the weekend by Friday, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 62. And then by Saturday, not much is going to change. About a 40% chance of showers, warming up to 67. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
It's got to stop sooner or later. My goodness sakes. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South 600 west of Hayburn. And, you know, if you're not sure what you need to finish a construction project or whatever, all you got to do is call them and just say, hey, I'm not sure. Can you help me? They will at K&R Rental, 678-3122, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Tomorrow is Lunch Bunch. Now, I urge everybody to call your friends and neighbors, your relatives, whatever. Please, let's fill the place up over at Denny's Restaurant. We're going to be there at 11:30. I will run real fast after the program and get there at 611 North Overland in Burley. And that's, of course, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. They've got so many new menu choices. Oh, I can't wait to get down there. I think I'm honestly going to have some more of those strawberry crepes. Oh, Great. All right, don't forget, tomorrow at 11:30, Denny's Restaurant, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, 611 North Overland in Burley, and they also have another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. We also want to thank all of our gift certificate sponsors, and they are Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, and Denny's. We'll see you there tomorrow. Big thank you to some people and a family operation that have been with us ever since we started this program, and that's Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And my goodness, it's been a long time, and we appreciate them. Every single program, we thank them for providing all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. That's right, all. They've got everything. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've been in business over 6 decades serving you. They open at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in, see them today. What perfect timing. I'm telling you, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Hello.
Good morning. I didn't know it was my turn. At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having roast beef and potatoes. I don't know what form. Vegetables, yummy dessert. And anybody that wants to call in for a lunch to take out, just call 208-678. They better call 8646. And it'll be ready when you get there.
All right.
$5 for you and everybody.
Attaboy, Joe Taylor, the cheerleader and spokesman of the Senior Center on Overland. God bless you, yummy man. Have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, sir. The election was held yesterday, and there were some losers and some winners, naturally. And Minidoka County School District General Obligation Bond did not pass. Burley Public Library 2-year operating override levy did pass. And congratulations to all the other people that were running for highway district commissioners, etc., including my neighbor, Rocky Matthews. By golly, Rocky, we're going to have the inaugural ball in about 2 weeks, and we're coming up with all the menu items, so stand by. Want to remind you, too, what a day we have today, with a list of guests that are second to none. We have Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then from Massachusetts, we have Gary Goldman. Gary does a really good job. I'm looking forward to having him on the air. And then I want to highlight this one at 10:06. The only pastor that has had the nerve to speak out, and that's Reverend Paul Thompson. He's been on before. He's going to be on again this morning, and I urge you to be listening and call in and ask questions. Reverend Paul Thompson, the only pastor that has had the backbone and the spine to speak out on issues. And to the others, crickets, nothing. Then at 10:30, we have a return guest that I wanted to get back on because he was such an excellent guest the last time, Sheriff Richard Mack. And we're going to be talking about guns, gun control, the Second Amendment, and arming teachers in the schools. So don't forget that. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with my friends. They are my friends. Nick Greenwell and his entire staff, physical therapists that know. They know all the exercises. They know what can help you recoup from injuries and or surgeries, whatever, and help your aching and paining. And they've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in the area. So please, all you need to do is just get a hold of them by the phone, make an appointment, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Yep, helping you get back to being you. By the way, before we get started on our full plate of issues here this morning, and boy, we got a lot to talk about, I want to remind you, too, about Scott Gano, landscaping and tree trimming. The reason I pause occasionally is because I've got the world's worst cough drop in my mouth. I don't know what flavor it is, but ew, wow, that stuff is ugly. It's one of those, what do they call them, Ricola. It's ugly. Don't forget Scott Gano Landscaping and Tree Trimming at 336 South, 450 west of Hayburn. Numbers to call if you want to get your trees all trimmed up ship-shape and fruit trees trimmed, everything, 431-8733. That number again, 431-8733. They can do the job for you. Scott Gano Landscaping and Tree Trimming in Hayburn. Good guy, great group, and they can help you. Call them today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The woman that makes Phyllis Diller look like a beauty queen, Joy Behar, she's the homeliest woman I've ever seen, said yesterday that all Republicans should be locked up. What? Yeah. Anybody and everybody that supports this administration and supports President Trump and supports his economic values for America and everything, we should be locked up. Well, you know, what really bugs me about Joy Behar is that there's a bunch of softies on that panel, and nobody ever stops and looks her in the eye and puts her in her place. Nobody. And she can be repugnant anytime she wants to be, and she knows she's going to get away with it. I just wonder why people like her, honestly, have not had somebody stop and say, wait a minute, Joy, and then lay out where the goat ate the cabbage and let her have it. She needs it and deserves it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, she really is a piece of work. I mean, she tries to change her image about every other day. I do not watch it, incidentally, so don't. You know, I'm not guilty. But it just comes on a little excerpts here and there. But she is an evil person. She doesn't want to listen to the facts.
Well, that part right there is really the truth. She doesn't want to listen to the facts. She doesn't want to explore the facts. She doesn't want to ask questions about the facts. She doesn't want to pursue really what the bottom line is. She's so set in her leftist, liberal, progressive nature that anybody that would absolutely stand on the other side is an enemy to her, and she is not the brightest bulb in the fixture.
Okay, and now we have the Speaker of the House.
Oh, my.
She says Trump's doing a cover-up now, and so she's not saying what it is or anything. She's just saying that so we spend some more time. It's obstruct.
Okay, stop right there. Keith, let me ask you a question. You've been in the car business, okay?
Yes.
Okay. If your industry, whether it was General Motors or Ford or Chrysler, it doesn't make any difference, had done a complete series of illegalities and they were being investigated, would you try to cover up for them knowing that they had the best attorneys and the best detectives, and for 2 solid years they could not find anything in disarray about that particular auto manufacturing company? Would you then say, well, there must not have been anything wrong? After 2 years. But now the Democrats, after 2 years of all these investigations, all the subpoenas, all the hearings, all the testimony, they won't let the dog lay on the back porch. They're going to start a new one right now, and I'm fed up with it.
Well, you know, I don't think that Jerry Nadler would be able to walk the streets of any city other than New York, because that guy is evil. He tries to find something every day to fight against this wonderful country we have.
Jerry Nadler is a puppet, Keith. You know that as well as I do. He's a puppet, a little man suffering from SMS, small man syndrome, that wants to be a big shot in front of the TV cameras and wants to project his image as being bigger than what it really is. He's very minuscule in his mind and also his character, and he's being led by the nose by people that are behind the scenes in the deep state of politics that's going on the East Coast. Jerry Nadler is a fool.
Yeah, I think Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff ought to have a duel.
Well, yeah, but with their perception on things, they both miss each other anyway.
Well, they haven't been right against about anything else.
All right.
Why would they be able
Got to run, Keith. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with the home comfort systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you got to do is check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Really good folks. By the way, too, I want to remind you about our friend Jake and the crew over at Rain for Rent. Fitting today, Rain for Rent. I'll tell you, it's going to dry up. And then everybody's going to be hustling and running and scurrying to get things done and caught up. I'll tell you what. Of course, at Rain for Rent, they're a Reinke Diamond dealer, and they've got the most dedicated sales and service staff serving you. And each and every one of these people are highly educated in irrigation needs, and they can help you. Don't forget to give them a call, 438-5065. I'll say the number again for Rain for Rent, 438-5065. They're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Good folks. Rain for Rent. Jake and the crew, you get a hold of them today. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Keith brought up Nancy Pelosi. The Democratic Party, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to perceive what's going on, they are in complete disarray. Even the news media waiting in line in asking Pelosi as she steps out of one meeting and goes to another meeting, by the way, what's going on? Are you having trouble in your leadership position? No, everything's cool, everything's fine. No, it's not. The new queen bee of the Democrats, and this is absolutely amazing to me, that a 30-year-old bartender with the IQ of a bicycle spoke, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is demanding impeachment of Donald Trump, and along with the likes of Muslims Omar and Tlaib, they've formed their own little power circle. And poor old Nancy is in a state of flux. I mean, absolutely, she does not want to relinquish any power whatsoever as Speaker of the House. Don't you try to take that gavel away from her. But the new power bees that are swarming in the hive, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are making so many waves in the news media. And honestly, Dr. Gerard Romero said it best a couple of weeks ago, and he was on again yesterday. The Democratic Party is about ready to go boom and fragment. I can honestly see it happening. And I'll tell you what, this impeachment, somebody out there in the audience, can you tell me what good would come of impeachment of President Donald Trump? Now, if you look up the word impeach, it means to discredit a person's honor or to bring an official before the proper tribunal on a charge of wrongdoing. Okay. So they're going to impeach Donald Trump. On what charge? Well, he colluded with Russia. No. According to a 2-year multi-million-dollar study and surveillance and investigation, No, he didn't do anything wrong with Russia. Well, we think he did because we need to call back so-and-so and testify at these hearings, and we need to have one of his attorneys, Don McGahn, come there, and we're going to start the ball rolling again. No. Donald Trump, with the executive order and privilege, said Don McGahn is not going to show up, and he did not, which I think was great because it was a stick in the eye, so to speak, of Jerry Nadler, the little miniature man that's trying to be John Wayne. And this is crazy. Even if the House of Representatives votes for impeachment, we are going to impeach Donald Trump. That football is going to deflate itself in the House because when it gets to the Senate, it ain't going to fly. So all this waste of time, all of this waste of money and resources, when they could be doing something so important for you and I, i.e. immigration, and the total mess that's going on the border, or even health care. No. Our congressmen and senators aren't smart enough, bright enough, or alert enough to understand that they're going down a dead-end road at about 100 miles an hour and they're going to hit a wall. Some of the dumbest people in this country are sitting in Congress right now this morning. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Dr. Bill says better take care of your puppy dogs. Yes, sir. If you've got little bitty puppies, well, they need their vaccinations at 6 to 8 weeks of age, and then boosters every 30 days until they're 4 months old. You want them to be healthy. You don't want them to be suffering with sniffles and diseases and everything. No, take care of your puppy dogs. Take them over to Ark Animal Hospital. They're a large and small animal clinic. They take care of them all. That's right. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. You call them at 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital. Really good people. On Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. I've had a lot of happy listeners, and if you win the cookies, all you got to do is call them and let them know when you're coming in. Oh, man, some of those cookies they make, and the cakes and the pies and everything else, it's delicious. Not only do they have a great bakery, but a great restaurant at 530 E Street in Rupert on the square, Sophie's Chatterbox. Good morning, caller.
Well, I'll admit I am not real smart on politics, but I feel like we are back in junior high and everybody's fighting over anything they can because they don't want Donald Trump to be student body president.
You know, ma'am, you've hit it on the head. They're acting like a bunch of silly junior high students. You have picked it right on the nose, so to speak, pardon the expression, because I'll guarantee you these people are not being professional. They're not using common sense. They're not doing the will of the people. They're not working for their constituents. I say get a big broom and a dustpan and clean house. We can't have this kind of so-called leadership back in the halls of Congress.
Yeah. That's just what I feel like. They're not doing their job. All they're doing is trying to get this student body president out so they can get their own in.
Excellent analogy, and you should call more often. You're a sharp lady. God bless you. Stay dry. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
All right. Nice lady right there. Appreciate that. It's true. They're acting like a bunch of little school kids, and they're not getting anything done. I'm upset at our own delegation from the state of Idaho because they're not talking to you and they're not calling me. And when I have appointments with them, I'm not going to mention anybody specifically this morning, when I have appointments with them to come on the air and then I get cancellations at the last minute, that really offends me. Now, I understand that they've got their various meetings to go to and everything else. But something has to be done so that they realize and recognize and appreciate the people that put them in office in the first place, and that is you. You. And they need to take the time and the effort to discuss with you via my program, or for that matter, anybody's program, what in the heck is going on or not going on back in Congress. To ignore calling, and to ignore calling you, is not doing their job. And if they can't find the time to talk to you and let you know what they're doing or not doing, then they should be replaced by people that can arrange the time status and make sure, well, I've got 30 minutes on this day. I'm going to call my constituents and I'm going to let them know what's going on over perhaps the Iran crisis or the border crisis or the Medicare crisis. But all you hear is, like the ministerial association in this area, crickets. Nothing. Don't forget Behar Equipment and Rental. Absolutely the best at what they do. Man, I really appreciate these folks, because if you've got some tough jobs like lifting and digging and pushing and carrying, well, they've got everything from excavators to lawnmowers. I mean, they've got it all. Don't forget Behar Equipment and Rental with 3 locations. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, with a big sandbox out behind to learn how to run the equipment. Good people. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. When you want the best of equipment and you want to work with the pros, get a hold of Behar Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens with the pastors. And
Nothing.
I'm just really quite...
I know, and I don't want any names mentioned here right now, Randy, but I know the people... Let me just finish my comment here. I know these guys, and I know from past experience that when it comes to being confronted about not doing something, they will be offended, and they have a little bit of holier-than-thou attitude. Some of the names that you mentioned to me yesterday. And what's going to happen is absolutely nothing. And I'm absolutely embarrassed for pastors and ministers everywhere that they won't speak out, speak up, and be a contributing part of helping our communities get better. And you know, Randy, from personal chats with me, that's the main reason why I want them to get involved.
Well, I would think that, considering the size of the audience, and I don't know where it is, but, I would, I have speculations that, in some days it could be 10,000 people.
Well, they're mad at me because I'm calling them out. They're mad at me because I'm calling them out. And here's the thing, Randy. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want you to appreciate this because you're a good friend, and we've talked many, many times off the air. I have talked to church leaders and religious leaders on a national level, and I'll mention a name here, Dr. Alvin Schmidt. And Wheels, we've got terrible feedback here, buddy. You got to watch that gain over there, please. And others that have said, and you heard it the other day when I was talking to David Horowitz, he said that ministers and pastors have got to get more involved with what the negativity is in the community. Everybody seems to agree, but nobody wants to do anything.
No. You see, we just can't, sit back and expect somebody else to do the job. There's going to be no excuse when we're standing before our Maker about what we did or didn't do. I don't know how it plays out, but I just know this. I'm smart enough to not take it for granted.
Well, and my concern is, and again, Wheels, you got to kind of ride Randy up a little bit when he's talking, just so that we don't get any feedback. But my concern is that now they've got their hair up on the back of their neck, and they're going, well, I'm not going to call him, and they're going to act like, I'm not going to be subjected to question. I'm not trying to question them. You know that. I've told you this. I want them to get involved with the problems in our community, whether it's the drug problems, whether it's anything to do with the illegal aliens, whether it has to do with the Muslim issues. I mean, there's things that have to be addressed, and they're not standing up.
Well, isn't there a Planned Parenthood in Twin?
Yep.
Okay, well, what do you think they're doing in that place?
You know as well as I do.
You know, giving them counseling. I mean, you know, are they encouraging them to read their scriptures? No. I guess they're aborting babies in Twin Falls, Idaho. How many?
When it comes to this issue on abortions, we are at a major crossroad right now in this country. And I think it's going to turn into almost, and I hate to use this terminology, but I think you'll agree, a civil war. We have those that want the right to do anything they want to with babies and abortions, and then we have our side that says absolutely abortions are nothing more than infanticide. I am absolutely so sick of hearing stories about babies that have been in the third trimester that have been left to lay on gurneys and die, and they call that abortion? No, Randy, that's murder.
Well, think about it the other day. Over last weekend, a Hispanic girl lady, mother, had her baby cut from her body, and I guess they wanted the child, so that, I don't know how or why they wanted it, but I know they wanted it, and they cut it. These people cut that baby right out of this woman's body, and it was a big story. Well, how many abortions are happening today? I forget. I've lost track, but they're killing babies right now, Zeb. They're dismembering them right as
I know.
Scrambling their brains, they're killing them, and they take them out, put them in a sack, and you know, a creation of God. Oh, that don't matter. There is no God. You see? Well, I don't know. I tell you what, it's as barbaric as Hitler ever was.
I am not going to argue with any statement you made because you're talking about a subject that you know I get highly emotional about, because the abortion issue in this country, life is so expendable right now. And it's not just the abortion issue. It's the other side of the spectrum with our elderly. I've read stories, and you have too, about some on the liberal so-called progressive left that think, oh, well, just let them die. Don't give them any health care because that's money away from people that are more contributing to our society. And they want to have kind of a hemlock society that when you reach a certain age, just go off and die. So here we have abortions on one end of the scale, and let the old people die. We don't need them anymore on the other end of the scale. And then somebody's going to tell me that ministers shouldn't get involved and talk about the community affairs?
I'll tell you what, in New York City, more black babies are aborted than are born. That young black lady, I can't think of her name right now, but she talks about it all the time, and it's unbelievable. The black race is stagnant. In other words, they're not sustaining their own race because they're killing their babies at such an alarming rate. So the Democrats have to seek votes elsewhere, and they're getting them from across the border. But there are signs that the Hispanics that care about America are going to vote for Trump. This is a dilemma for the Democrats, but all the Democrats ever cared about is power and votes. They are the most foul, evil. They are beyond belief is what they are.
I agree. Randy, I got to run, but I want to tell you how much I appreciate your call and your effort. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You bet. See,
thank you. I want to remind you about Dino Septic Service. Oh, these people are good doing a job that you and I don't want to do. No, we don't want to stand out there pumping a septic tank. No. Liquid waste removal, septic tanks and drain fields installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, all of this and so much more. They provide that service to you, and they've recently expanded to better serve more people in this area. Absolutely. Dino Septic Service. The number's 436-6526 or 678-1638 with their big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Absolutely the best. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning again. You know, this one governor back in Virginia, this late-term abortion, he's in favor of it. Let me try to explain how I look at it. Okay, a baby is born, and the mother looks at it, and it's deformed a little bit. So why don't she just ask him to leave the room, the rest of them leave the room, and give her a moment with the baby, and she takes a pillow over its head and, kills the baby. Okay, that is murder. But what about a doctor who says, we'll kind of watch over this baby and everything else like that, and let it starve to death?
Yeah.
Isn't that borderline on murder?
Well, it's not borderline. Keith, come on. Call it what it is. It's infanticide. It's murder right to the letter. I'm so sick of people pussyfooting around certain issues. Call it what it is. It's murder. It's a life. It's a life that's not being taken care of. It's a life that nobody cares about. It's a life that somebody thinks is expendable. Call it what it is.
Well, the Hippocratic oath is done by the doctor, not by the daggone governor.
I am so fed up with people saying, oh, the mother should have this right. And then Kamala Harris gets on TV and she's railing and beating her fists on the podium that women have the right this. Wait a minute. Somebody give me a little time to talk about the baby. The baby laying on a gurney. The baby with no protection. The baby with nobody loving it. The baby without anybody nurturing it. The baby without anybody caring for it. I don't care all the time about the mother, the mother, the mother. What about the baby?
This government of ours is always wasting money, so why don't they do this? Anyone who has is going to have a baby and they really don't want it, the government steps in and said, we'll pay the expense of getting it adopted.
Yeah, but here's another aspect of it. Here's another aspect of it too. They want to do studies, and if there's a possibility of a Down syndrome child or any other malformity or whatever, hey, Mrs. Jones, just go ahead and abort the baby. You know what, Keith? You're not perfect. You know what? Your wife isn't perfect. You know what? My wife isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect people. Who has the right to decide who's going to live and die and flourish in our society?
I don't know, but somebody came up with this saying years ago, and it said, God don't make no junk.
That's exactly right. And I am...
So, why are we to judge?
Yeah, there you go. Who are we to judge? Keith, thank you. Appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you. This is a subject that just infuriates me almost, there's another couple of subjects too, like what's going on at our border, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Congress, what a bunch of losers. Stop this insanity on the border, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the weather forecast in here, and I think that probably any and all of you could write your own synopsis to the weather this morning. The weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And they've got 3 wonderful, knowledgeable, really helpful doctors of audiology serving you. Dr. Christine Pickup, Dr. Courtney Mitchell, and Dr. Shane Hunsaker. So please call the number, make an appointment at 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. And now, here's Gina with the weather.
Expecting rain showers off and on throughout the day, and highs are going to be in the mid-50s. Rain showers for the rest of the week as well. Yes, mostly cloudy skies for today. Expecting a high of 56. Rain showers off and on as we make our way through it. Tonight, more chance of rain showers, low of 41. Tomorrow, 40% chance of rain showers, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 57. Slight chance of some thunderstorms for tomorrow night with a low of 41. As we make our way towards the weekend by Friday, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 62. And then by Saturday, not much is going to change. About a 40% chance of showers, warming up to 67. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Customized and personal treatment treatments for your hearing health needs. That's exactly what happens at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I urge you to call and have a hearing screening test to find out why you're having a diminishment in hearing, and then they can help you. Call them, please. Make an appointment. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I got a question for you this morning. How many countries have been taken over without firing a shot?
Many.
I see it happening here.
Yeah, I do too. It was predicted way back in 1963 by the Soviet leader, Nikita Khrushchev, and he said that America will be taken over without having to fire a shot. And we're headed that way because of stupidity and a lack of effort by our Congress and our leadership.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And one of the problems I have is we've got so many congressmen out there that are getting close to retirement time, full benefits, big paycheck, free hospitalization, and then all the other stuff. And they think they're going to be above the problems that they're going to cause for the rest of us. It's going to get to the point where these politicians, so many years down the road, when things really get bad, they're not going to be able to leave their homes.
The political structure in this country today is that we are putting people in office that are looking to do nothing for their constituents, but they are looking to really elevate themselves and their supposed popularity and then line their own pockets. I have nothing good to say about the national scene because I'm not seeing anything in return for the American constituents and the American voters. Nothing.
Well, it won't be long when people like you and I are going to be the vast minority.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree.
And it's just totally depressing.
It is depressing.
Politicians sitting up there doing nothing, collecting all our tax money.
Well, I can tell you this. I'm an old man, and I'm not going to give up with just a whimper and put my tail between my legs and go fade off into the distance. I've still got a little powder ready to lighten the gun, and we're going to keep on going, Tony.
That's right. I got a few hand grenades, so we'll get things done together.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you. Don't forget again, Ramsey Heating and Electric Analytics, all teamed up with your home comfort systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you gotta do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric and find out more at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Caller, good morning. I thought we had another one. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. You know, my question is, if liberals don't recognize biological genders, then why do they protest for women's rights?
You know, this is something, and Doug, you're really good at asking that question. This is something we're going to be talking about with Reverend Paul Thompson at 10:06 this morning. He wrote a wonderful article about God and the creation of male and female. And we're going to be talking about that at 10:06 this morning. I urge you to lock the doors, turn off the lights, turn up the radio, and just sit there and absorb.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. And let's be honest about it. If you have a baby and you abort it, that is murder. That's all. That's plain.
What else can it be, Doug? I mean, come on. If I hate referring to a fetus or a child as it. I'm not going to do that. If a child, an unborn child, has a heartbeat and things are progressing, and then all of a sudden you're in the last trimester and that baby is born, and basically between the doctor and the mother, they just, well, I don't want the child. Well, the doctor says, okay, we'll just put it on a gurney and let it expire. Whoa. If that's not murder, somebody better explain something to me.
Well, there are laws on the book that if you kill a pregnant woman, that's double homicide.
That's right.
So, I mean, it can't be both ways.
Where are we headed as a society?
We're headed to hell in a handbasket.
Well, and no argument there, because when you talk about this abortion issue, that shows that what kind of an evil society we're turning into. When you talk about our border situation and by the way, that needs to be said right now. Our border situation is so bad. I was on the telephone yesterday, Doug, with friends of mine in Texas and Arizona. And they are one place, and I'm not going to mention names, right on the border in Arizona. They are letting go of their ranch. They're leaving. They can't take it anymore. Their property is being denigrated and tore up every single day. They can't keep their cattle on their ranch because all the fences are being cut. They can't keep any property in their garage or anything because it's all stolen. They have human feces all over their front lawn, and they're leaving. Why should an American citizen have to be subjected to leaving their life goal of owning a ranch or any property because our doggone government won't protect them?
They shouldn't. That is a total disgrace. That right there tells me that the people we have back in the Beltway in Washington, D.C. care more about themselves than they do the people they represent. That's when the people they represent should step up and just put an end to it. I mean, they're going to have a revolution coming up here pretty quick, and it's going to be American people against the politicians.
Why shouldn't that family have a revolution? Why shouldn't they get other people that are living down there have a revolution? Why shouldn't they absolutely start their own Minuteman campaign and say, you're not coming across my property again or else? Why not? Their whole property has been denigrated. Everything has been destroyed. They can't stay there anymore. They've got to pick up and leave and go to another lifestyle. That's not the America I grew up in, Doug.
Me either. I think, personally, I think this is what I would do. I would set up, and anybody walk on my property from the southern border, they'd be shot at. I mean, that may sound terrible.
No, it doesn't sound terrible with what these people are going through. The one gentleman that I talked to, and again, I'm going to be a little hesitant on ever pinpointing this because they asked to remain anonymous for the time being. He said he never goes to bed at night without making sure that his family is secure. He's got a son and daughter that ranch, and they live down the road a little ways from him. They call every night to make sure that they're safe, and quite frankly, he never goes to bed without a .357 on the nightstand.
Well, I wouldn't go anywhere without a sidearm and a rifle if I was down there. And I mean, they come in and they would shoot you. It's self-preservation. It is protecting your own property. If the government's going to do it, then you've got to do it yourself.
How would you like to wake up in the morning and beautiful sunshiny day, and you look out on your front lawn and it's been turned into a human toilet?
Oh, that would just I would be furious. I would be furious.
That's what they're going through, Doug, and nobody seems to care. I don't care if it's over in McAllen, Texas. I don't care if it's down in Douglas, Arizona. I don't care if it's over by San Diego. It doesn't make any sense where it is. It shouldn't be happening in this country and to the citizens.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So we need to call our senators, and we need to demand, not ask, demand, that they stop this flow at the border, that they secure it. In fact, if I was President Trump, I'd shut it down to everything but commercial traffic.
I cannot say a lot of the words I want to say in regards to this mess on the border, and because honestly, when we start pointing fingers at senators and congressmen, that means we have to point the fingers at our own delegation. I don't give a rip what Mike Crapo says he's done singularly. He'd better get some coalition of senators and do it as a group, because by gosh, he's as guilty for not doing anything as anybody else.
Well, if you see a crime going on and you don't try to help it, you're as guilty as the person committing it.
I got to run, but I appreciate your call, dear friend.
Hey, and I got just a couple quick things. I got everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them. Let's take care of. Let's go eat at a senior center, and you'll be blessed.
Absolutely. Got to run.
And one more thing, I have some special things to give away at Lunch Bunch.
Oh, thank you, Doug. We always appreciate you. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. This is going into Memorial Day weekend. And don't just pick everything up, throw it in the car, and take off. Oh, you forgot to have your tires checked. Maybe you got a couple of not-so-good tires. Well, I'll tell you what, they've got all the tires, all the sizes, and many of which are on sale so you can save money for your safe driving. Please stop in to any one of the 7 locations serving you of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and also the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Wow, they take care of you because they want you to drive safe and come home safe. Please stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news? Wheels, it's all yours, buddy. Take it away. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Gina. And it's time for hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor. And they really want you to drive carefully, cautiously, and safely this weekend. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, let's hear from Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Wow, they love trash, I'll guarantee you, at Western Waste Services, and they take care of it, absolutely. And I really urge you to call the number, 734-6969. Get on the route service, and then just let them come by once a week, pick up all your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Wonderful people serving you, Western Waste Services. Their slogan is true. Always at your disposal. Call them, 734-6969. I want to urge you, too, to remember our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on new systems. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And last but not least, I want to visit just a moment about our dear, dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary. Joel Heward, his staff, his family, serving you. They're located at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and when there's the passing of a loved one, they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. It's a very difficult time, and they are there to serve you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I'm going to have to go to the phone call right now and try to get a little common sense as to what's going on in this spinning out of control world we live in. And with us from Indianapolis, Indiana, my friend, Dave Bego. Good morning.
Morning, Zeb. How you doing?
Every day, and I know you're a Christian, and I will say this because I am also, every day I wake up and I pray that we may see less of the garbage and the idiocy in our world, but it doesn't seem to work that way. What are your thoughts?
It is, Zeb. It's terrible, and I've talked about this many times, and I know I saw your newsletter this past week where you talked about you had a guest on that talked about they're trying to bring us religion down our country, and that's something that I've talked about too. Is that they want to bring down this country and make us a socialist, communist country without God in it, and that's what this is all about. And I just saw an article this morning where they were talking, and I think I've mentioned to you before, so we've talked about this, as a part of it's been through the education system, bringing us down from within by brainwashing people over the past, 80 years or so. And they are talking about, that's what they're trying to do in our education system, and, brainwash the kids and get them to think about, socialism and communism is good stuff, and also get rid of religion in the family, because by getting rid of that, you're able to control them.
I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm very concerned, and it's going to take a lot of talking to get me to change my mind. But when you hear that 4 out of 10 younger people, 25 years of age and younger, 4 out of 10, 40%, are absolutely committed to having America go socialism, wow. I don't know about you, Dave, but that scares me.
Well, it scares me too, Zeb. And again, this is the far left, and the deep state's agenda to bring the country down. And they're one of the things they're teaching in education now is that from a sexual standpoint, the transgenders are fine, and in fact, this guy that wrote this article is pushing transgenderism on young children makes more sense. When it comes to sex and gender, there are no rules. The schools insist anyone who suggests otherwise, even your mom, dad, and kids, it's a bigot. And and he goes on, he says, the way to knock the props out from underneath the American family is to condition Western man to see contraception, fornication, pornography, sodomy, etc., as perfectly normal and not unhealthy things.
God has to be in heaven right now with tears in his eyes, because we have absolutely slapped him in the face. That's my honest opinion.
Well, I agree, and but we need to pray to him that he gets on our side and he helps us to stop what's going on and wake these people up that are being brainwashed in that. And I think more and more people are beginning to see the light in what's going on, but we need to help them see the light even better, and we need to get this exposed across America.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something that didn't help at all. It shows how evil our House of Representatives and our Congresses in general. They passed a bill last week that gives more special rights to LGBT people. And they said in the article that I have from a newspaper back east, I believe I cut it out of the Wall Street Journal, that now church leaders are really going to be afraid, because they're afraid that with this new rights bill that the LGBT has, it's going to limit what any pastor can say about homosexuality as a sin, etc. My goodness, now we can't even rely on the Bible. We have to be worried about stupidity in our Congress, thwarting the Bible and throwing it down in the ditch. This is ridiculous.
Okay, you talking about the Equality Act?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and here's the thing, they say, and the left and the Democrats out there are saying, well, this is good for women because it protects them and helps
Baloney.
them with things. But that's not true, and this is typical of the left speaking out of both sides of their mouths. Because actually it threatens the privacy, safety, and opportunities for women and girls.
That's right.
Because, biological men claiming to identify as women will have access to women in only intimate spaces like locker rooms, bathrooms, showers, and other places. And this is crazy stuff, and this is stuff, again, where they're just trying to divide America.
What good, honestly, Dave, was the waste of time and all the money for Title IX to help and enhance women's sports when you're going to have crossovers of transgender men? What good is Title IX?
It's not. And this is the whole thing behind the scenes where these things are going on, and they're trying to bring down America, and they're being supported by the left and the unions and other people, and they're doing this stuff so that they can. And we're going to see, Zeb, we're going to see more and more of this, and it's going to get worse as we get closer to the 2020 election.
I agree.
Because all they're trying to do with this stuff and the immigration laws and all this kind of stuff, all they're trying to do is find a way to get votes to keep the House, take over the Senate, and take over the president.
Wait, whoa. You said immigration laws. Dave, right now this morning, I am so absolutely convinced there is no law. There is no order. There is no regulatory fashion. We are right now at a stalemate. I just got done yesterday talking to some friends in Arizona and Texas. One of the friends I talked to, ranches in Arizona, they're leaving. They're out of there. They can't take it anymore. Every single evening, their property is denigrated and they're stolen from. They can't have anything in their garage. They wake up in the morning and their front lawn looks like a human toilet, and they're leaving. Why should an American citizen that pays taxes, why should they be subjected to this happening without our government doing anything to protect them?
Again, Zeb, this all comes back to politics. The Democrats don't want to do this because they want those people coming across the border because they're going to, behind the scenes, they will get these people in to vote, even though they're not legal Americans, and to help them gain back the Senate and the presidency. And America needs to wake up to this. This isn't about trying to be fair to the immigrants, because at the end of the day,
they're not immigrants. They're illegal aliens.
What they want are these people's votes.
That's right. I don't refer to these people as immigrants. They are thrusting themselves across our border. They're an invasion of illegal aliens, and I don't mean to correct you, my dear friend, but on my program I call it what they are: illegal aliens that are causing an invasion of our country.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%, and we really need to get people to stand up and have a backbone and do the right things. And it's not that we don't want people to come in, have an opportunity to come into America, because quite honestly, Zeb, the birth rate's gone down in America, and we need people that can come in and work and do jobs for us, because most companies are having a hard time finding people to work. But if they're going to come into America, they've got to go through the process, and they have to be approved, and then they can become Americans and become part of our society and work in our country.
Absolutely. I did not know until yesterday, when I was talking to a friend of mine in Washington, D.C., that John Walker Lind, American terrorist, scum that fought with the Taliban, is going to be released early from a 20-year sentence. He's going to be released tomorrow, as a matter of fact, from a prison in your state of Indiana at Terre Haute, and he's going to be back out walking as a free man, even though he has vowed that he's still going to stay with the Taliban and the jihadist philosophy of killing Americans. What in the world, and how in the world did this scum, and that's what he is, get released early from a terrorist prison sentence?
I don't know, Zeb. What's going on in America with that stuff, and we're seeing it in different federal prisons across the country and that, and it's sad because it gives the people that want to bring us down more insiders to help them do it, and and it's sad that we have Americans that are attacked or lose their lives because of this kind of stuff, and it's time to wake up that these people, again, if they are good people, they come into this country, they do the right thing, and they work hard, and they pass our laws, and they obey our laws, that's fine. But if they're here to do things to bring down America, then we need to stop them, and they need to be thrown out of America.
Absolutely, or worse. Dave, I want to ask you a little bit. You're a sharp guy, and I've always appreciated and respected you for your standpoint and your ability to explain various issues. Please explain to me how a Democratic Party could be so absolutely dumb in thinking that impeachment, the try to impeach an official, i.e. President Trump, before the proper tribunal, the Democrats, on a charge of wrongdoing when there hasn't been any proof of wrongdoing. What in the world? Why? Why waste the time, the effort, and the money and make themselves look like total buffoons on impeachment? Please help me. I don't understand.
Zeb, it all comes back to the election, and they're trying to make this president look bad. They're trying to throw stuff out there that make people turn against him so that when the elections come, they get the votes and they get their presidential nominee elected. And, even, what's her name, AOC came out again yesterday and said that he needs to be impeached, and she really went after it. And they've kind of silenced Elizabeth, or,
Nancy Pelosi,
the House Majority Leader.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
She has not pushed the impeachment as much here lately. But now you have these other people like AOS standing up and shouting out this stuff. And I'm telling you, Zeb, this is being done behind the scenes by the people that have supported her, and the same with Kamala Harris and the unions and other people, because they want this president out of office, because the unions are very concerned about where the regulations are going in this country and how unions are being controlled. Well, not controlled, but stopped from controlling businesses and people. And they want that control back. And we're going to see more and more of this stuff. It's going to get worse.
But let's just go back to Ned and the first grade reader. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that, the Democrats control the House. Big whoopee deal. And they could vote for impeachment. Big whoopee deal. But when it goes to the big boys in the Senate, you know as well as I do, it's been an effort in futility and foolishness. Why waste the taxpayers' time and money? That's a question that I can't ever get answered.
It's simple. It's all about throwing barbs and bullets at the president, trying to make him look bad, so that less people will vote for him in 2020.
I don't think it's going to work that way, because when you take Adam Schiff and you take Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and then you go to the extremes of wild-haired Bernie and Corey Wild, booger-eyed Booker, I think this is going to turn on him. I'm hoping and praying that the American public has more common sense.
Well, I do too, but this is the way they look at things. This is the way they attack you. I mean, again, Zeb, back when the SEIU attacked me, they threw those kind of barbs at me that I was racist and just everything else, that, I treated people badly, and it went on and on. And, they don't care whether this stuff is true or not. They just like to throw it out there to try to get people to vote you down and get you to do what they want you to do, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I I was talking to a dear friend last night back in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went to school with him, and we were talking about this Don McGahn situation. Hold on, caller, I'll be right with you. Don McGahn situation, attorney to President Trump, and I was glad. Maybe you don't agree with me. I was glad that President Trump basically exerted his executive power and told McGahn, no. Don't go testify in front of Jerry Nadler and that mob. All they want to do is be muckrakers and try to dig up more after 2 years of all the money spent and all the testifying. Don't go, and I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad Nadler sat there with a vacant, dumb look on his face.
Yeah, the president has to do things as long as he's staying within, the laws of the country and his
executive orders
and what he can do as president. And, and I agree. And sometimes that's what you have to do with these people. And I did some of the same things when we were being attacked by the union. I told people, no, you shouldn't go talk to these people. You shouldn't talk to the press about them, because this is all stuff to bring us down and get the union to force unionize our people.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment. Quickly, caller, I've got 4 minutes left. Go ahead.
Well, let's face it, it's always been about the 2020 election, and if they can win it. And if Ruth Bader Ginsburg goes down and there's signs she's going to not make it, then we get another Supreme Court justice, which will be unbelievably good. with Nadler and the rest of them, they better stop and think about what's coming down the pike with the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign and Obama administration, because Sean Hannity has been fighting this thing, promoting this for 2 years now, when nobody else was even saying anything. But as they dig with this, Russian probe and Mueller, they're finding out that this thing started on nothing. Somebody, I hope, will pay, and I think that there will be some, indictments. Let's hope we can get some justice out of this situation. Thank you.
Dave, respond to the caller, please.
Well, I agree with him, and he's right. Sean Hannity is really going after it, and Sean thinks that there's some things that come out of this that are going to really expose the deep state and the leftists, and it could be a good thing for the president and the Republicans in this 2020 election. And let's hope that we have people get out there. And I have to be honest with you, every once in a while you'll see some of the media who is controlled, I believe, behind the scenes by the left and the unions. Some of them are starting to speak up that they back Trump and his ideas and thoughts, and we're seeing those pop up more and more. I think a guy from CNN, I can't think of his name, did it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope more and more of that happens.
I got to tell you this, being that you're a former basketball player, and you and I can relate on this subject, but I'm not advocating that their politics, their coach, or the players are people that I want to admire. I'm just admiring as a team the Golden State Warriors. I have never in my life, and I want you to comment on this part of it, I've never in my life seen a team that can be down 18, 15, 12, whatever amount of points, come back and totally dominate in professional basketball like they have. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's great, and what that points out to you, and I talked to people about this all night, and I was at a big gathering yesterday downtown Indianapolis from 3:30 to 7:30, and we're talking about some of these things, and people ask me how I got through the things I did, and I said, well, we need people in this country that understand things and do the right things, but are also willing to stand up and fight and persevere and keep pushing back until they win. And that's what they do out there, Golden State.
They've got one basketball player on their team that is probably one of the most hated basketball players in the NBA, but they would not be where they are today if it weren't for him, and I'm not talking about Steph Curry. I'm talking about Draymond Green. That guy is a dynamo.
Yeah, and, it's, when you and I both played athletics, and if you're going to win at the end of the day, you have to stay in there, be tough, be strong, persevere, and, both physically and mentally,
yep,
if you're going to win. And he's doing that. They're doing that.
Absolutely, and it kind of equates right over to life. You got to stay in there and win. Dave Bego, my dear friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana, always look forward to visiting with you. Now you can lean forward, take your feet off the desk, and get back to work.
Well, I wasn't sitting back with my feet up on the desk, but I am busy all the time, and I thank you for everything.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Good friend of mine, and just a really good common sense guy, Dave Bego, and we appreciate him. I know some other good common sense people, and that's Scott Gano, landscaping and tree trimming. Oh, yeah, Scott's been here many, many, many times along with his crew. And I'll tell you what, if you need to get your fruit trees trimmed, now's the time to get on the list. You better call him right now. Call that number, his cell phone, 431-8733, or the office at 438-2485. Yes, sirree, Bobby, they're the best. Scott Gano, landscaping and tree trimming in Heyburn. The wind caused a lot of havoc with all the trees and everything, so please get a hold of them. Scott Gano, landscaping and tree trimming in Heyburn, 431-8733. Also want to remind you, oh my goodness, they're busy. We had Jeff on the phone the other day over there at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, and they are in the middle of their great big big Memorial Day sale. It starts tomorrow. Up to 48 months, same as cash on approved credit. 4 days of all the furniture, 40% off. Did you hear me right? 40% off. You better get in there. All of the living room furniture, the sofas, the love seats. You better check it all out. Recliners. Oh, my. And, of course, all the floor coverings and the carpet and the mattresses and the bedroom sets. What are you waiting for? Get in there today. 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Really, really good people. By the way, too, I want to remind you that on Mondays we have Vicky's Country Gardens. The lovely Miss Vicky over there on the Burley Paul Highway, Vicky's Country Gardens. And we have gardening tips for you and also landscaping and all kinds of great tips for you with Vicky. And don't forget, that's at 10:30 on Mondays. It's called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens. Also, real quick, our friends over at Let's Ride. I absolutely think the world of these folks. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. All the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers, and all the watercraft. And I urge you, I think it's obvious, to go check out the watercraft. You might need it to get to the grocery store the way it's been raining, for heaven's sakes. They've got it all over there, including all the accessories. So stop in and see them today. Yeah, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Absolutely the best people you've ever worked with. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it is true, this is where the fun is sold. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and our next guest, I think, is ready and waiting way back in Boston, Massachusetts, back there with the Red Sox, and he's probably going to tell me and give me a litany of excuses as to why they're not playing so well. Good morning, Gary Goldman. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Not bad. Okay, go ahead. Tell me why. What's wrong with the Red Sox and what's going to happen at the end of the season? Give us your typical Red Sox epiphany.
I'm not going to make any excuses for the Red Sox. They're playing horrible baseball. I think they still have a hangover from the win last year. And I think it's going to be a tough, long season for them. That's my prediction.
You know, Gary, honestly, I don't want to spend time on baseball too much, but you got to admit that for a lineup and, quite frankly, a team that has been beat to dickens with injuries and everything, you got to kind of take your hat off to the Yankees, don't you?
Yeah, the Yankees look pretty good, you know, and look at, we're just getting into the season. It will be interesting, you know, when we get to the July 4th area, the All-Star break, and we'll see where everybody sets. And then the race really begins right after that. You know how it works. It can change in a moment's notice.
Kind of like politics. Boy, did you create a segue there, Goldman. That was really good. What you're talking about baseball leads us right into the insanity of politics and all the people. What is there now, Gary? 24, 25 people have thrown their hats in the ring to be the Democratic nominee. What's going on?
Everybody's in. Look at when you don't have a uniform message and your party is pretty much in chaos. They will never admit that. Why not? You know, they keep adding potential candidates, hoping that sooner or later they'll find one that really truly resonates with the American people. I think that's going to be a difficult task, especially, as I alluded to, when you don't have any message except handouts, socialism, giveaways, don't worry about the border. We could go on and on. But I think it's tough, and I think they're really trying to find that one person that will work out. I'm not sure it's Joe Biden. I'm not sure it's Bernie Sanders. But I'm not sure who it's going to be yet, but it's going to be an interesting race as we go on.
All right. Now, right there, you've opened the door for perhaps more opportunity to make maybe entry number 27, 28, 29, and 30, who knows. But what about a guy that is kind of intimated that he'd jump in, and he has also intimated that if he did, he could very possibly beat Donald Trump, and that's Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks. What are your thoughts on Mark?
Look, Cuban is a funny guy. I think him and Donald Trump being billionaires, there's a little jealousy, there's a little rivalry going on there. That's the first thing. Number two, when I listened to Mark Cuban and he gave a talk about this, he said there's really no Democrat out there right now that could beat Donald Trump. and Donald Trump was elected because he's not a politician, which I agree. He did fail to list all the things that the president said needed to be done within the country, and that he is doing that work on a daily basis. But Kubin tries to come across as somebody that's going to be independent, is not a politician. That speech when he gave that interview that day, he surely sounded like a politician to me. He was making a lot of excuses, and look, if he wants to jump into the race, go to it. As an independent, I don't think he's going to go that far. You have Schultz, the ex-CEO of Starbucks there, who was still wondering what he's going to do. But Kubin's going to have to get, really lay down what. Don't tell me who you're running against. Tell me what your platform is. I'm tired of hearing, I'm running against Donald Trump. I'm running against Donald Trump. Tell me your platform. Tell me your platform on immigration. Tell me your platform on trade, and then let the American people make a decision. But Kubin, who says the American people want an outsider, surely sounds like a politician.
You know something? You just hit the mother lode of topics that we could talk about all morning long. When you said, tell me about this, tell me about that, I want answers about how you'd talk about this and try to help that situation. Another so-called Democrat front runner that absolutely sickens me, not only for his lifestyle, but also what he stands for, which I don't know, is that Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg. There's a guy that stood up there at a town hall this last weekend and not one single time said anything about the immigration crisis or anything with China, his own solving of the problems, etc., the trade wars, anything. How do these people stand up there as basically a transparent window glass and they don't say anything?
Well, that's because in most cases the mainstream media allows them to do that.
That's true.
What's interesting with this particular individual was that he was at Fox News, the town hall through Fox News, bashing other hosts on Fox News, and the two individuals doing the interview really didn't say much about that.
Yeah.
Then he got on to that whole, Americans are racist, Americans, we're really mean-spirited people, and what fascinated me is when he started getting into the Electoral College again and how that needs to be eliminated, without any. I listened to someone like him who's obviously in a pretty influential position, and I'm wondering where he missed his class on basic American history and civics, etc. Because again, exactly what you just said, they go out and they spew whatever they want, but when nobody's checking your information, when nobody's coming across and countering the comments you make, you can get away with whatever you want. We see it all the time in this country, and we're seeing it with every one of these candidates that are running for president. But you talk, nobody checks the information, nobody questions you. You keep talking. You think you have the get out of jail card and go to till at some point maybe somebody does question what you're saying.
Well, a perfect example of what you're talking about, and she's not so far, God help us, hasn't put her name in the ring, and that's the View's Joy Behar. She came out yesterday on the program and basically said that all Republicans and all people that supported Donald Trump should be locked up and jailed. And what amazed me was when I saw the excerpts of this, nobody really confronted her. Nobody really got in her face. Nobody got in her grill and really questioned her stupidity. This is the problem. You've hit the nail on the head. Nobody is holding people accountable for their asinine statements.
That political correctness has ruined this country, and that is another example of political correctness, because if you say something, then you're labeled. A lot of people are worried about being labeled either for business purposes, for personal reasons, just friendships. Not me. I have no problem challenging a comment, as I'm sure you do, have no problem either challenging someone if they come across with a comment or facts that are not true. And the reason I'm totally convinced the reason we're in the position we're in today and the problems we're having is because we've allowed people like that host to go off and spew whatever she feels like spewing on a daily basis and get away with it without anybody questioning her. And it just boggles my mind that other people are sitting on that set while she's talking and letting her get away with that. Even if, look, you could be at the same party, but saying things that are just totally outright ridiculous that do not even make sense and continually saying them, in your own mind, you start thinking that, hey, this is all right to say, and I'm going to keep doing it until somebody shuts me up. But obviously that doesn't happen. They keep doing it.
What about your listeners back there on the East Coast in Massachusetts? I mean, I'd like to know what the general thought is when you get callers talking about, let's say, Cory Booker or Kamala Harris or wild-haired Bernie or Joe or whatever. I mean, what's the general feeling about this wide array of personalities on the Democratic ticket?
You know, they are all over the place. The one thing that it puts a smile on my face, a lot of callers that call my show are not Elizabeth Warren fans, which fits very well with me because I think she's a very dangerous person, a hypocrite, and we could spend 2 shows talking about her. But, you know, it's more against, they're totally against Trump. And, you know, there's some candidates, they're not big Booker fans, people that I talk to, but a lot of them are not sure who they really want. When Biden jumped in, they thought he was the savior. Some of them, I think, are having second thoughts about that. I still think Bernie's someone we have to watch going forward. But, you know, the problem is everyone despises the president, and when you ask them why, except they really don't have a reason for that. Did you like him prior to being president? Well, I really had no opinion. So what has made you turn against this individual? What is he doing that has made you turn, number one? And then when you talk to them, how are you doing financially? You're better off now? Yeah. Oh, my 401k is going through the roof. But if you hate the president, how can you, and I put people on the spot, if you dislike him, aren't you being a hypocrite taking your profits from those 401ks or your investments? Maybe you should do the godly thing and give them away or donate them to someone. Oh, no. One thing doesn't have to do with the other. Well, it does. If you do connect the dots, your success that you're talking about is based on policy and other things that this particular president's doing. I think there's a brainwashing going on that's been going on since Donald Trump jumped into this race, the mainstream media, social media. People are hypnotized. Not everybody. I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but a lot of people dislike him. They're not sure why they dislike him, but yet they haven't. I've yet to really get a lot of people tell me who they would pick of these 20-something candidates. They haven't committed yet.
Really? You know, I'm going to say, let me set this up a little bit, Gary, because I want you to respond. I honestly feel, and one of my guests that's on a frequent basis on this program from back in your neck of the woods, Dr. Gerard Lamero, I don't know if you know him or not. He's a very, very dear friend of mine. And he said a long time ago that he predicted the fragmentation and, quite frankly, explosion of the Democratic Party. Now, in the last 48 hours, we have seen the new queen bee of the Democrats, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a 30-year-old bartender that's supposed to have the brain of a rocket scientist. And she is basically, I think, trying to take over the leadership and overshadow Pelosi. And Pelosi's in a really bad spot right now. She's either going to be pushed or coerced into an impeachment proceeding that she doesn't want to do. And I think it could be the match that ignites the fuse that blows up the Democratic Party. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I think the Democrats are absolutely out of their minds if they go the route of impeachment. I think it will blow up in their face. And secondly, as far as AOC, she is very, whoever's feeding her the information that she's getting, she's going after millennials and the Generation Zs. And the scary part is that they're listening to her. For some reason, they're gravitating toward her message. But at the same token, when I read some surveys about millennials and Generation Zs, some of their least concerns are climate change and global warming. But there's something when she speaks that it could, pull you in it if you're a certain generation or if you're not exposed to a lot of things that in the real world that you have gone through. So that's a very dangerous thing. And I think she is trying to grab the leadership, a portion of the leadership role within the party. The interesting thing is, unless Pelosi's doing it behind closed doors, she hasn't fought back as hard as I thought she would, because I think that this party is so, splintered that any day now it could just, like you say, implode, and that's going to be the end of it. But the problem is, if it implodes, who will take control? If it's the AOC group and other new representatives who are proving to be totally anti, not Ilhan Omar, and, with her anti-American statements that America is no good, it's a racist country, it's enough to make you absolutely insane. And my question is, why did you come here if you dislike the country so much?
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be the interesting thing to see who takes control of that party, because if she lets it go the route of impeachment, I think it's all over, exactly as you said.
Well stated. Thank you, Gary. We've got a caller with a question. Quickly, caller, you're on the air. Go.
Well, I think the Democratic Party is just so desperate that they are anything to get attention, including saying insane things and allowing Ocasio-Cortez to say them just to stay in the mix. Because let's face it, at every newscast for the last 3 years, I would say, or 2.5 at least, Donald Trump's name has been mentioned every newscast at the top of every hour, I would say. I can't even imagine hearing one where he wasn't. The Democrats are really in a dilemma. They do not know how to get attention. They don't have a platform, and they have no candidate. And with the economy and all the things Donald Trump has done, if he says nothing else in the debates other than, this is a list of the things I've accomplished, and that'll win the election alone, I would hope to think. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, Gary, please.
Yeah, I would like to believe that's the case, that just listing the list of accomplishments, and there are many. I try to do it on my show on a regular basis just to keep it front and center. So I think, that would be, I think, wishful thinking. I still think we've got to be very careful. But, AOC, the Democratic Party worked very hard to get somebody like AOC out there to counter Donald Trump. It's like Dr. Frankenstein. Be careful who you're working on in the lab, because this is who you've created. Now they don't know how to deal with her because she's taking the party too far to the left. But I think that's the way she wants it. That's the way a particular percentage of the reps and senators on the left want to go. So it's going to be interesting. But they are saying anything and doing anything to keep their name out. What they don't realize, without a solid platform and without something really for the American people to grab onto, it just becomes 20-something candidates spewing misleading information on a 24/7 news scale. That's all it is.
Let me just throw at the end of our interview a guy that I don't know who his campaign manager is. I don't know what kind of accolades or attributes this person has, but he's got to be dumber than a rock, because he's letting his candidate show videos of his candidate getting a work at the dentist's office or cutting ear hair at the barber shop. I'm talking about Beto O'Rourke. This guy really, I think his campaign manager is a former clown for Ringling Brothers Bonham and Bailey Circus. Do you agree?
Yeah, there's something particularly wrong with that individual, and I can't put my finger on it. I've tried to do as much research as I can and read about him, but even when he talks, I feel something very uncomfortable listening.
I agree. Yeah.
But I can't put my finger on it as of yet, Zeb, of what it is, but there's something not right with him. And the things that he does, just like you just explained, outrageous. What does that have to do with becoming president of the United States of America?
You've touched on something there, Gary, that I've agreed with and said on my program also. His personality and some of his gyrations and the idiotic things that he does. I mean, jumping up with his shoes on a food counter and letting people see the ear hair being cut at the barbers. I don't know what it is, but his herky-jerky attitude and then getting on The View and apologizing for being white. My God, I don't want that man leading my country.
No, that would be that would keep me up every night of the week if that ever happened. And look at, there's something out there. And my question to also, Zeb, is whoever's leading the Democratic Party, you're allowing this type of behavior to go on. That just cannot. That's not helping your cause any way possible.
I got an idea that maybe you and I should team up on a program, and I've got a new title for you. Hang this on your mind for a minute and vegetate on it. The Cowboy and the Beantown Man.
I love it. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Gary, you're the best. Gary Goldman, and I really appreciate your taking the time to come on the program. Please come back.
I will. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Sharp guy. Enjoy having him on the program. Gary Goldman. He's got a talk show back in Boston, Massachusetts. I think I'll pursue that. The Cowboy and the Beantown Man. I like that. Pat myself on the back there a little bit. We better get the weather on. Holy smokes. Gina is got our weather all set to go, and it involves blowing up a rubber ducky or whatever because it's wet out there. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, of course, bringing you the weather this hour, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best. They are the professionals. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on and on with their professionals serving you. In Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's the weather.
Expecting rain showers off and on throughout the day, and highs are going to be in the mid-50s. Rain showers for the rest of the week as well. Yes, mostly cloudy skies for today. Expecting a high of 56. Rain showers off and on as we make our way through it. Tonight, more chance of rain showers, low of 41. Tomorrow, 40% chance of rain showers, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 57. Slight chance of some thunderstorms for tomorrow night with a low of 41. As we make our way towards the weekend by Friday, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 62. And then by Saturday, not much is going to change. About a 40% chance of showers, warming up to 67. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Rain. I've had enough. Don't forget our friends at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And these are really top-notch people helping you, whether you're involved in agriculture, manufacturing, food production, whatever, construction. They can help you, your family, and your business. With the best of accounting services, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. Ask and thou shalt receive. Good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb Earl. That O'Rourke guy, I think I seen him on a town hall meeting last night on TV for a few seconds is all I could stand it is. And my diagnosis there is his mother failed to tell him to take the garbage out.
You know, when you look at him,
never flip burgers.
Oh, never. Earl, when you look at the guy and you listen to him, and it's almost hard for you and I and others to sit and watch him because of his herky-jerky attitude, his lack of looking people in the eye, and his apologetic attitude. I wouldn't want that guy to go into the White House unless he paid a ticket for a tour.
Well, I've heard you speak about him, but last night was the first time it really sunk into between my two ears what you were talking about. That Elizabeth Warren woman, if we weren't burning or building a campfire for her to dance around, she wouldn't have nothing going on for her.
I love it. If we weren't building a campfire for her to dance around. Oh, was there a little bit of a jab there for her saying she was a Native American?
I thought I was on the right course there, but sometimes I have to mention things and get an A from you that I got it right. So.
Well, I certainly hope she doesn't let the teepee flap hit her in the posterior on the way out, right?
Zeb, I got a ewe lamb, and I got to get back out there.
God bless you, Earl. Thanks much. Appreciate it.
Love you guys. Bye.
All right, take care. Oh, that was good. Hey, don't forget our friends Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They really take care of you. They're very dedicated and accessible and devoted to serving you. So please, all you need to do is give them a call. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. The best serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Good folks. Okay, I've got just a little bit of extra time here real quick. I want to mention some things. Lunch Bunch is tomorrow at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. I want to fill the place up tomorrow. Absolutely. Bring all your friends and your neighbors. Call Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred, whomever, get them there. And we've got a lot of door prizes to give away from our friends at Walmart and Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Grocery. Doug Martin's got some special things to give away tomorrow, he said, and Denny's Restaurant. So everybody try to be there at 611 North Overland in Burley. Denny's Restaurant. Zeb's Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30. What else? Oh, and tomorrow at 9:17 on the program. I want to mention at 9:17 tomorrow, we're going to have a new segment where we're going to feature a business that absolutely is serving you for your health care, and that's, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Nick Greenwell is going to be on the program tomorrow morning at 9:17, and we're going to really discuss exercises and recouping from injuries, whether it's accidents or whether it's surgeries, whatever. I think you'll find it really interesting, and they're going to be with us every other Thursday right here on Zeb at the Ranch. We're going to take a little break in a moment right after we say hello. 30 seconds for this call. Real fast. Go.
Hello. I just want to have a comment. Last night I listened to C-SPAN, and members of Congress were questioning Secretary of Housing Ben Carson.
Yes.
For 2 hours. They each had 5 minutes. It was very informative. Most were very sensible, courteous, and interesting, addressing many housing issues. Congresswoman from
New York,
from Massachusetts, named her name is Ayanna, Ayanna Presley.
Yes.
And she made Alexandria Cortez sound very polite and smart, because she said she started her 5 minutes by downgrading the president, telling Ben Carson he would be a better Surgeon General than Secretary of Housing. Then she criticized him for substandard living conditions for elderly and asked him if he'd want his grandmother to live under those conditions, demanding a yes or no answer very rudely. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've got to interrupt you right now because I've got to go to the news. You can see on your watch I've got to run. But you were right on one name, but also there was a congresswoman from New York. Both of those women caused nothing but embarrassment yesterday in the grilling, I'll call it, of Dr. Ben Carson. I agree with you. I've got to run to the news, but call me tomorrow morning early. I'd like to discuss this some more. Thank you so much. God bless you. News next, CBS. I'll be back in 7. And a good, soggy morning to you and yours. Hour number 3, Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you for safe driving on the best of tires, especially if you're heading out this Memorial Day weekend. And don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Don't forget our friends at Lennox with their home comfort systems, teaming up with Ramsey Heating and Electric. And, of course, they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on new systems. All you gotta do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply, and be sure and get a hold of them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox. There is a man that I'm very proud of because he shows backbone and courage and stands up for what is right. One pastor has had the nerve to come on my program and discuss the issues. And that one pastor is Reverend Paul Thompson of the Eastside Baptist Church in Twin Falls. Pastor, good morning. How are you?
Thank you, Zeb. I'm doing really well, and I'm grateful to be on the program again with you today.
Your writings and what you have said in some of your op-ed pieces, if you will, in the Times News have really hit the nail on the proverbial head. And, excuse me, the one that was in recently absolutely made me sit up and take attention. You said it all. I mean, God created male and female. And right now, we're seeing such a twisting and a deviant attitude against God's creation, male and female in this country. I can just envision God's eyes right now with tears in them, because never, I don't think, did he anticipate that man would treat him in this kind of a fashion.
Yeah, for sure, man has blasphemed his holy name. You know, we from the third commandment of the law all the way through to the model prayer, where we're instructed to pray and to keep his hallowed name honored. And so we do that by the way we live our lives and by the way we honor and even live inside of the boundaries in which he's created. And to think that we can live in a different dimension than how he has created things is really to think ourselves better than him, and to think that we do not need to submit to him. And so it's a great tragedy, and it just seems to be growing, doesn't it, Zeb, in our culture, that especially among our young people. And the sad thing about it is where are the fathers and the mothers who are going to sit down with their sons and daughters and say, no, son, God created you a son. You're a son. You're a boy. You're a male. This generation needs their fathers and their mothers to speak into their lives with the truth of Scripture.
You know, I hope you don't mind if I call you Paul. We've never met face to face, but I absolutely.
Most people call me Paul.
All right, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Paul, here's the issue the way I see it, and I want you to really get into it the way you did in your article. With the transgender males stepping over the line and trying to compete with the girls in girls' sports, they've done a multiplicity of things. Number one, they've denigrated our females, and all fathers should be absolutely upset about this. Number two, they have destroyed what was provoked to be a real asset and plus for girls' sports, and that was Title IX about 10 years ago, and create more of a equal playing field financially, if you will. They've destroyed that. And number three, what they're doing is absolutely eliminating the opportunity for girls to want to play sports because they don't want to be involved with the transgender males. This is absolutely a devastating event that's occurring.
It really is, and it's just going to grow. And you know, we might think we're safe from this in Idaho, but, you know, it doesn't take long. We are the only intermountain state. There's very few states in all of the United States that have strict rules about boys competing in girls' sporting events. But I promise you, Zeb, and your listeners, it won't take long. If we don't do something now to stop the onslaught of this, really the attack against girls, and if we don't stop it now, it won't take long that our state will comply to the push and to the demand that every state around us is requiring.
Paul, why aren't?
I think at this level, we need to understand that what's literally happening is our culture is allowing boys to attack girls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not saying, when I grew up, when you grew up, Zeb, if a boy ever hit a girl, nobody would stand for it. I mean, you were done for the day.
That's right.
And where there's no physical hitting, this is literally exactly the same. Where boys are allowed to compete against girls, it's not that girls are less important, but listen, these are just physical truths of life. Boys are faster, they're stronger, they can jump higher. It's just a difference in the way God created boys and girls. And so the blessed thing of having a girls' sports team is that girls can compete fairly, competitively, and have success in that. But you break down the barriers and let boys compete in girls' sports, there's no honor, there's no valor in that at all.
We have a caller with a question, and then I want to come back. We've got a lot more to cover. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you guys both on those subjects and that. I kind of want to, if I can jump back to the beginning, where it seems to be an issue So on people that have these issues with children in their family, what is your view of the issue? Is it a mental health issue? And if...
Oh, my goodness. I don't know what happened, but we did not cut him off. I think he was on a cell phone and it had got cut off, but I think you heard enough, Paul, that you can respond to the caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, he brings up a valid concern. Culturally, we've got to address this thing, and so we need to ask, where is the root of this problem? And I don't think that the psychological world historically would be in agreement that this is a perversion of male and female, and so we certainly can see that. I would bring in the argument that this is probably more spiritual than mental, and the fact that certainly there's a thought upon some boys, the desire to want to dress in girls' clothes or to be more effeminate than maybe those that are influencing them. And so there might be some legitimate, and we want to walk carefully and compassionately with individuals who are suffering in that disorder and that perversion of what God has created. But I will pull the argument probably heavier over into the spiritual side of this, Zeb, and say that really what's happening here is that our culture has just, our culture largely does not fear God anymore.
Okay, now...
When you don't fear God, you begin to behave in godless ways.
I totally agree with you, Paul, and I think that we can relate. And caller, stay on the line. I'll be right with you, I promise. I can relate. I'm older than you are, and I went to high school in the 60s. This kind of concept, this kind of a problem was absolutely unheard of. And then through all the revolution against our society and, of course, the hippie movement and everything else, and getting away from God and denigrating church and denigrating family values, that's when it all started, and now we're seeing the fruits of the labor to turn us into an anti-God society. Those are my feelings.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Zeb, and I think in this being in an anti-God society, it starts showing itself up here where the culture begins to treat women in a lesser position.
That's right.
And that's part of the sad reality of what's happening here is women are actually being more degraded than they are being lifted up in this kind of a situation.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a daughter that plays basketball, and it's already here in this state. There were 2 boys on the Caldwell girls basketball team last year.
Oh, brother.
And one of them started, and my daughter had to play against him. She says, that's a weird feeling. That's a, she didn't like that deal.
Right.
Well, caller, I'm glad you called because you've talked about a subject that it doesn't make any difference if it's basketball. We've seen it happen at a college in California where a guy 6'9" decided to go on the girls' basketball team with a full beard, everything else. We've seen it in track and field. We've seen it in any and all sports, and it's going to keep getting worse until somebody puts their foot down. Paul, respond to the caller, please.
Yeah, Zeb, and to the caller's sad commentary here, it is true. It is already here. The laws of the athletic rules of the state of Idaho is that a transgender student can compete, say for a boy, can compete in a girls' sports event, but they are, to say "but" is not a good thing here. They cannot change their mind next year and decide they want to compete in the boys. Once they make the decision according to the Idaho laws, they have to stay in that or not compete anymore. So the strictness of it is good, but the tragedy is, as the caller notes, it's already here, and it's just going to increase. And I, one thing I think, as I've processed through this, and my children are grown up, and I've got grandchildren. I have a granddaughter. By the grace of God, someday she's going to have many opportunities that our culture, that our nation provides for girls, and I want to be able to celebrate that and rejoice in that in her little life. But I would say to parents, if you have transgender, you have boys that are wanting to compete in girls' athletic events, as difficult as this may be, and as hard of a decision as this might be,
it might be time to pull your daughter out of that girls' sporting event. And by the grace of God, if enough of you did, there wouldn't be a team for that boy to play on. And that's just how severe this is.
Absolutely.
Dads need to protect their daughters. Men need to protect the women in our culture and stop letting this confused state, this spiritually perverted condition, rule the day. We've got to step into this.
Well, you know, Paul, that's the problem, though, and there is no salve or ointment to put on the problem and make it better and cure it, unless moms and dads, primarily dads, and our society says, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. And until people turn this thing around, the bus is going to go over the cliff.
It will. It will. And so there's lots of things that need to happen here. The church needs to wake up. The church needs to quit obeying the culture that wants to keep telling them to go sit down in the corner and be quiet. The church needs to rise up right now. This is actually a theological matter. And so the church does have a voice in this. The church needs to show up at school board district meetings.
Yes.
The church needs to speak into these things. They need to speak with compassion. They need to speak as a truth bearer. They need to speak as a gospel advancer. But the church cannot stay quiet any longer.
Let me ask you this, Paul. The House recently voted 236 to 173, and they approved a sweeping anti-discrimination legislation that would extend extra special civil rights protections to LGBT people. Now, to some that might sound, oh well, come see, come saw. But if you really read between the lines, this bill could absolutely jeopardize you, your church, your beliefs, and the Bible, because it's going to create a feeling and a system of saying that we're bigots and hate mongers if we accept the Bible and criticize them for all their transgenderism, gay life, whatever. We can't even open our mouths anymore because we might be subject to having a discrimination charge filed against us.
Yeah, it does. It seems to be moving that direction. You know, we can rejoice right now that would you ever think that we could rejoice that it's only passed the House?
Yeah.
The fact is it's passed the House. That's tragic enough. But to get through the Senate and then even for the president to sign such a thing, this president, I don't believe, would sign such crazy legislation. And I don't think the Senate would either on the federal level. But the very reality is that it passed the House. And so warning flag to every church, to every pastor, to every radio host like yourself, Zeb, it won't be long if this thing continues to pick up its momentum that this will come down to the place that this kind of talk that we're having right now would be considered hate speech in our culture, and it will be levied with fines and jail time. This is true. This will happen if this continues.
Let me bring you up to speed on our program. Since Christmas time, I have been asking pastors to be a part of the program to discuss various civic and community issues, whether it's abortion or whether it's the Muslims coming into this country and seeming to get a preferential treatment over Christianity, whether it has anything to do with abortion rights or not, or whether we're talking about drug problems, whatever. None but you have had the backbone and the spine to come on this program. And I sit here and I scratch my head. Who better than a pastor standing in a pulpit on a Sunday morning, addressing his congregation, should talk about the Bible and how it equates to everyday life and how we should live our lives in our community?
Yeah, Zeb, I'm surprised as well, and I got dozens of pastors I'll call and say, you need to call Zeb Bell and get on his program. It's beyond me that a pastor in this day would remain silent, as has been what appears to be the norm for most pastors. Most churches don't want to be seen in communities as disruptors, and we don't want to be disruptors. We want to be, as the Bible instructs us, to be pillars and a buttress of truth in our communities. And so the pastor, the church, does stand as that place in the community. And so may God raise up more pastors that are willing to come on your program. I highly appreciate your boldness, Zeb. I think by the grace of God, may what gets heard on your radio program take root inside of your listeners, and we must begin to re-pick up our duty, pick up our gospel banners, and march into this day with the truth of Scripture.
Paul, is it fair for me to say, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, that too many pastors today are more concerned about not offending anyone in their congregation, or maybe a grandmother or a nephew or whatever? They're more concerned about not offending and turning somebody away from the pew and the collection plate than they are worried about offending God.
Yeah, I think that's a true statement, Zeb. I think that really what's happening here is that you'll find many pastors that have more of the fear of men than they have of the fear of God. They're afraid of offending someone and turning them away from the collection, as you say, or turning them away from attendance, rather than turning them to truth. And so that pastor will be held accountable before God. And you know the scriptures, Zeb. It says it'd be better for that man if a millstone would be tied around his neck and he'd be drowned in the depths of the sea. The duty, the role of the pastor is never to appease men. It's always to present truth, preach truth, stay on truth, stand on truth, wave the gospel banner always.
You know, Paul, and I'm not trying to act like a biblical scholar. I am a student of the Bible, and this one passage of Isaiah always comes to the forefront because it fits everything politically today. And it is in Isaiah 59, it says, "Yes, truth is gone, and anyone who renounces evil is attacked."
Yeah. It's true. I'm preaching through Isaiah right now, and I just got into chapter 40, Zeb, and yes, in that passage there, no one knows truth, and the tragedy is the reason they don't know truth is because those who have been given the responsibility to speak the truth have heard the culture, and they're obeying the culture to sit down in the corner and be quiet.
Yeah.
They need to pick up their voice, and they need to preach the Bible again. Earlier in the book of Isaiah says there is a day here where people will call good bad, and sin, they'll call it good.
Yeah.
So we are in that kind of a day where what is an abomination before God is literally now put on the shoulders of a sinner, and that sinner is then heralded the hero in our community.
Yeah. Let me ask you one final thought, Paul, and I don't mean to make this sound simplistic, but what can we do? What can we do to get people stimulated to go back? And I always have a slogan at the end of the program. I think I've mentioned it to you. The way things were, the way things ought to be. I'm not talking about being regressive when I say that. I'm talking in that slogan about going back and accepting the moral and family values that we used to have. Why can't we?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, Zeb, and I think probably a much longer answer than what I have time for, but let me just sum it up in this manner. I think families, households need to realize that we need to stop being a part of the culture. And fathers need to gather their households up, and fathers need to begin teaching their children again the truths of Scripture. Godly parents need to do this. And then if you need to assess what kind of a church you belong to. If you're a part of a congregation that's more of a social gathering rather than a place where the Bible is preached, is taught, and put in front of them as truth, you ought to approach that pastor and lovingly desire of him to give you the meat of Scripture. And if that church refuses to do so, then by the grace of God, Zeb, I'm convinced there are still many bold and faithful preachers and churches in the valley. And go find one of those and plug yourself into it.
Absolutely.
Wholly to God in that way.
Absolutely. I have the utmost respect for you, Reverend Paul Thompson of the Eastside Baptist Church in Twin Falls. Please come back in the future. We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
I will. Thank you, Zeb.
God bless. Thank you very much. That man said a lot, and I hope people were listening and will adhere to his words this morning. Thank you, Reverend Paul Thompson. Right now, I want to remind you about Patterson's 421 East Main in Burley. Oh, Curtis and Lorena, good morning to you. Oh, they are your electronics needs headquarters. If you don't know what you're looking for, or particularly what would help you as far as complete home systems, home entertainment systems, hold on just a second. I got to tell that caller I can't take that call. They've got all the complete sound systems. They've got home theater systems, video surveillance cameras. They've got all your electronics needs, television, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, car stereos and speakers. They've even got towing hitches. They've got it all right there at Patterson's 421 East Main in Burley. Telephone number to call, 678-6997. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Patterson's in Burley. Right now, I'll try to catch that phone call. You listen to Wheels over at our main studio. Stand by.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, thank you. Don't forget again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox teaming up on their home comfort systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. And don't forget, terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Thank you. We just had a small disaster happen right here at my place. My cell phone always sits here on my desk, and of course yours truly sometimes has been known to be very careless, and it does have a crack in the face, and I knocked over a full glass of water on the face of my phone, and I think the cell phone lost the war. Anyway, that's it for that cell phone. They're cheap. Yeah, $700, $800, $900. Good morning to our next guest, and we very seldom ever have guests return on a short order, but yes.
I apologize. I'm still trying to get him on.
Make sure you do. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, Wheels. He's waiting, I know. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, are you having trouble getting through on that number, or do you want me to try to find another number?
Yeah, he's not answering the phone.
All right, let me give you another number real quick, real fast. 866... no, that's not going to work. That's out of service, it says. You're going to have to keep trying that 928-432-1879 number all the time. Keep calling if you would.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Calls are welcome and appreciated. Having a little trouble trying to get through to our guest. Wheels, my dear friend over at the station, is going to try to continue to place that call. It happens at least once or twice a week. Should be ready for it, but it adds a little misery to the show during the day, trying to keep everybody organized. Deanne is gone this morning, and so that doesn't help either. She's usually there, always kind of a hawk landing to find out what the problem is and then get a hold of the people. But until they call, please give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We were talking briefly this morning with other guests, Dave Bego in particular, about the illegal aliens on our border. And now they don't know what to do with the people that are coming up to the border. They are sick, they are diseased, and they don't know what to do with them. Some of our ports of entry have closed down because they don't have the manpower to run those ports of entries. They don't have the manpower to check these people with their diseases. They just absolutely have had to close down. And then what's happening in this country, and listen to this carefully because it could happen here. It could happen in Rupert. It could happen in Burley. It could happen in Twin Falls, Buell. It could happen anywhere. Now they are flying in plane loads of these illegal aliens. They have nowhere else to put them. Dropping them off at airports and then being shuttled to various communities like they did in Marietta, California over the last couple of days. Now, the people in Marietta, California, and I know some people that are good friends of mine that live in Marietta, California, are outraged. And they should be. Why should our American citizens take less and be treated as less, and all priorities are given to illegal aliens? How would you like to have, let's say, in Rupert, all of a sudden you have 300 to 400 coming into your community, no food, no clothing, no housing, no disease control, no medication, you have no idea who they are or what they represent? Here! You take care of them. This is the insanity of what's going on with what they estimate will be 1.5 illegal aliens coming into our country this year alone. This year alone. And if you're going to point your finger at anyone or any group of people, you need to stand up in your chair right now, look east, and point your finger at the Potomac and Congress. They are absolutely derelict in their duty to get anything done to solve this problem. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, have you had any success at all?
I've not, but I am still trying.
Attaboy, wear that finger out on that dial. I hope we can get Sheriff Richard Mack on our program. But again, I ask you, the listeners, to kind of chime in and give us a call. There's a caller coming in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Hello. I just had a quick comment. If they're going to spend any money on flying them anywhere, they should load them on a plane and fly them back home.
You know, why? Why not? Why in the world are we taking them as basically a dumping project by the government? Why not turn that plane around and have the pilot say to the co-pilot, okay, which way to Honduras? Which way to Costa Rica? Why are we subjected to feeding, clothing, and taking care of illegal aliens at the expense of not being able to take care of our own citizens? This is lunacy.
Yeah, it's insanity. Yeah, people have got to stand up somewhere along the line, even if it's got to come down to the pilot himself or whoever. Somebody's got to make the decision that they're not coming here.
I agree with you, and I don't know what we're going to do. All I can tell you is, and this ought to just really frost you, is that in California yesterday, their governor, Gavin Newsom, said that he is willing right now to spend at least $500 million on illegal aliens to help them in the state of California. And you sound like a bright guy to me. Why should he spend $500 million on illegal aliens when he's got homeless people laying in the streets in Sacramento, San Francisco, L.A., all over his state that he won't take care of, and they are citizens of this country?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unfortunate, but I'm afraid it's going to come down to a civil war of sorts because the insanity in politics is going to drive the normal citizenry to the point of revolt. I mean, there's going to be no two ways about it pretty soon.
And why shouldn't we revolt? Because these are our tax dollars that are going to people that aren't even citizens. And I don't know about you, but I do not want to spend one more dime unless it helps somebody here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your call, sir. God bless. Have a good day. Thank you. Can you imagine? I mean, Gavin Newsom is one of the most liberal and warped politicians on the left. I mean, whoa, way out there. He'll defy anything, he said, that comes down the pike from the Trump administration. But he wants to spend over $500 million on basically paving Easy Street for illegal aliens, housing, clothing, to make sure they're all taken care of and comfy. And at the same time, in his state, they have, I don't even estimate the numbers, hundreds of thousands of homeless people that are living on the streets and suffering from drug addiction, suffering from not having a home, suffering from not having a family, the filth with the drug addiction and the human filth that's on the streets. Those people are citizens of this country. And we're not doing anything to clean up their act, but yet we'll take $500 million in the state of California to provide, like I said, Easy Street to illegal aliens. Yes, Wheels, go ahead.
I was able to get a hold of Mr. Sheriff Mack. Would you still want to take it?
Yes, right now. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that. We'll have an abbreviated conversation with this gentleman. I'm sorry we couldn't get him 10 minutes ago, but he's on the air. Sheriff Richard Mack, sir, how are you?
Zeb, I'm doing great. Sorry for being late, and thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I'd rather be late than not at all, and I appreciate your comments, and I'm going to get right to this. You have been a champion of our Constitution and our values in this country, and I'm going to tell you, Sheriff Mack, I think we got a big garden to hoe because there's a lot of weeds in it. How are we going to get rid of the weeds and get back to sanity in this country?
Well, I pretty much think the bottom line on that is that we'll never find that solution in Washington, D.C. I like a lot of things that Trump has done, but he hasn't drained the swamp nearly as much as he needs to. He's on the right track in some areas with immigration and foreign policy, but there's just far too much corruption in Washington, D.C., There's far too many innocent people being abused by the IRS. There hasn't been a single Republican president or a single Democrat president that has done anything about the corruption of the IRS. And I really want to see the IRS abolished, like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz have campaigned for. That needs to happen. You cannot have American liberty and an IRS at the same time. One of them will have to go, and it looks like freedom has been the victim of the IRS.
Sheriff, I make no bones about it on my program that I'm scared, and I'll underline that word scared. I'm scared of the personality of our country. When I heard that 56% of the people in this country were leaning favorably towards socialism, and 4 in 10 young people under the age of 25 and younger wanted to see socialism take over, you're doggone right I'm scared, because I love this country, and I've had a lot of my family members fight and die for it, and I don't want stupidity to take over. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a high school teacher now, and I'm afraid that you're absolutely correct of being afraid of that. I get afraid of it, too. Most of the kids have been brainwashed in believing that we're a democracy. Of course, a democracy is simply mobocracy, and the majority rules. Socialism is all about majority rule, and let's redistribute the wealth, and let's force equality. And that's one of the things I teach in my class. We're all in favor of protecting the well-being of this country and promote the general welfare. Promote the general welfare. If I could talk to every Democrat and leftist listening to this, promote the general welfare in the preamble is a generality. It's what we believe in general. It is not a specific requirement that we force the general welfare. Forcing the general welfare is communistic. It's dictatorial. And right now, we actually live under a democratic dictatorship. Whatever the democracy says will be forced upon us. And the Democrats always have this ruse of, we're so tolerant and we're so magnanimous and we're so kind and generous. And then that behind that is an iron fist that says and forces you to do things their way, or they will burn, loot, and destroy anything in their path.
You know, Sheriff, I don't want to get sidetracked here, but we've got a limited amount of time, and I'm going to have you back in the near future again. But when you look at the 24, 37, 49, 97 Democratic nominees for president, whatever the heck the number is right now, every one of those people that have thrown their hats in the ring, they scare me. Whether it's Beto O'Rourke and is absolutely acting like he's just escaped from an insane asylum, or whether it's Kamala Harris or Cory Booker, whatever, none of these people have a solid platform to stand on.
Well, I share your sentiments exactly. They are all very scary. Man, even the ones that don't have a chance are still coming out with the scariest stuff because they think if we can say the most outlandish socialistic, communistic crap, that'll increase them in the polls. I said all along that I believe Sanders is a good person, but a good person doing the wrong thing exacerbates the problem. It doesn't make it better. And his policies are absolutely scary. They're totally, all 57 candidates that you mentioned, the Democrats, are extremely anti-American. They don't know or understand the Constitution. The Constitution is there specifically to eliminate socialism and communism, and yet the Democrats embrace it. And I told a Democrat meeting one time at the University of Colorado, I said, you're not Democrats, you're socialists. Call yourselves what you really are.
Absolutely.
And I guess they're starting to do that now.
You know, Sheriff, quickly, I want to get into the Constitution, you being a teacher now and sharing the wealth of the greatest Constitution ever written on the face of the earth, ours, the First and Second Amendment. And right now, I am so afraid, I'll go back to that fear I have, that there's not enough respect for our Constitution and especially our free speech and the Second Amendment with the right to own and bear weapons. Wow. I mean, things are changing, and if we don't stand up, that could be erased. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct. I don't believe they'll ever pass or attempt a bill at abolishing the Second Amendment. They're doing a great job without that. They're all circumventing it illegally through illegal legislation, and every bit of that is anti-American, and it's counterproductive to creating peace in our society. And that is one thing that I wanted to share with you anyway. I'm part of a national organization now, a PAC, Neighborhood Alliance PAC, that's PAC, neighborhoodalliancepac.com, where we're trying to arm the schools. And I'm a former school resource officer, and we need to arm the schools because that's the fastest and most effective way to respond to a school shooting. The gun needs to be there sooner than we've seen in the past, and the response time from police is 5 to 10 minutes. And what we've seen from these thugs who have done this, that as soon as they believe a gun is in the area, they run away, give up, or they shoot themselves. We just need to speed that process up.
Absolutely.
And arming the schools is the best way.
Absolutely. Sheriff, I'm going to back up just one quick second on a question. Where and when in our history in America did we give up the right to carry a gun?
I guess when we got Democrats in there who, and some Republicans, but, I'm not giving the Republicans a free ride on gun control because they've been pretty bad themselves, just not as bad. That's the thing between the Democrats and Republicans. We just have slow socialism or we have fast socialism. That's the difference between the two. But there's never been a time that has happened, and we just continue to have state legislatures and the national legislative body in Congress that believe that they have a role in diminishing our right to keep and bear arms because it's blank, or it's, quote, common sense. And I just don't support any of that whatsoever. I do not support any gun control. Government's only role in regard to the Second Amendment is to guarantee it, is to protect my right to keep and bear arms. That is government's only role, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. It's a quote right out of the Declaration of Independence. Their only duty is not to form a BATF. Their only duty is to make sure that your right and my right to keep and bear arms is not infringed.
Absolutely.
And I don't see a time where that has been revoked or repealed or even undone in any way.
Absolutely. Sheriff Richard Mack, I have got to ask you to come back soon. I feel like there's so much more information you can provide. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be in touch, and we'll try to make it a more amenable time on my program so that you can make it the full segment. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much. Sheriff Richard Mack, and a guy that's really, so to speak, a straight shooter, and we'll have more with him in the days ahead. Time for the weather, quickly. Wheels is sitting there going, Zab! Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, with Scarrows Meats. Oh, you've got graduation ceremonies coming up. You've got Memorial Day coming up, and you got 97 people coming over. Oh, my goodness, you better check it out. They've got all the tri-tips and the marinated pork ribs, and if you got people staying overnight, they've got all kinds of different delicious bacons and breakfast sausages and bratwurst. Oh, bratwurst on the grill. That is phenomenal. All of this and so much more with Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. And you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Right now, let's have Gina with the weather.
Expecting rain showers off and on throughout the day, and highs are going to be in the mid-50s. Rain showers for the rest of the week as well. Yes, mostly cloudy skies for today. Expecting a high of 56. Rain showers off and on as we make our way through it. Tonight, more chance of rain showers, low of 41. Tomorrow, 40% chance of rain showers, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 57. Slight chance of some thunderstorms for tomorrow night with a low of 41. As we make our way towards the weekend by Friday, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 62. And then by Saturday, not much is going to change. About a 40% chance of showers, warming up to 67. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Oh, my goodness. Please, please. How about some 75 and sunny? I'd love to have that. Hey, don't forget the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. All the delicious meats. Call them. I'm telling you, Don and his crew are excellent. 324-7657. Scarrows Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Tomorrow is Lunch Bunch Day. Don't forget, at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. We're going to be there at 11:30. Hope you are too. Call your friends and neighbors and everybody be there, please. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. And our thanks for all our gift certificates to Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin. He's got some special things tomorrow too. And Denny's. Thank you very much. Wow, we've got to tell about our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. With the best in tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers. They've got all the tread designs, all the sizes, and many of these tires are on sale right now. Do not leave for a road trip unless you make sure you're driving safely on the best of tires, and they have those best of tires at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, and service reigns supreme. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's going to do it. We're going to wrap things up for today and be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 with more. We've got our chamber report tomorrow. We've got that new report with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell. Rita's going to be on the phone with us, and Cassia County School Days, along with a surprise visit from Sharon Wilmot. Sharon Hardy Mills, now Sharon Wilmot. She's going to be on the program with us for a little bit at about 10:30 tomorrow morning. We always wrap the program up by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Wheels, old buddy, stay dry, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. God bless you, and then we'll see you at Lunch Bunch. Have a good one.